My name's David Miles, and I'm from rural Armstrong. It's been somewhat peaceful the last couple of weeks and hope. The turbines don't turn much and the wind doesn't blow. We've had a few days that were bad. On Friday, August 24th, my daughter was physically sick from the whole day and the next morning from them. So they were terrible. We also have a neighbor. She was off that day, was going to do yard work. She became ill, didn't feel good, nauseated. She'd love to say something, but she can't because they have a landlord that has a turbine, and farming is their livelihood. Very hard to watch. They should not have to live like this. Invenergy spent $100 million plus or more, nobody really knows, of our tax dollars on something that is controlled by Mother Nature. If the county or country becomes dependent on wind energy, the turbines do not turn, and we have blackouts. People won't have their air conditioners and TV, and you think I'm a pain? Just wait. Invenergy is now doing a sound study on the grounds right next to my house, where I told them to do 2 months ago when the turbines were at their worst. They did not. They know the wind patterns, and they know the winds slow down at this time of the year, and it is the time to do them. They still control the sound. I was coming home tonight. I work in Rantoul. You can look in Champaign County, you count the revolutions. If you go out there, if they're 5 or 6 seconds around, they're not noisy. They get to that 4 second, so that's when they're on. And Champaign County was humming over there. Around my house, for some reason, it took 5 to 6 seconds for them to turn. I got it on video if somebody would like to know that. I can show you that. I'm sure you will hear the findings soon enough. I think we all know what the outcome will be. Also, to Mr. Donahue trying to mislead you at the last board meeting, saying no one else has experienced problems. In the minute of May 13th board meeting, Mr. Lomax expressed his concern. Wonder what else he and Mr. Weimer have misled you on. Thank you.
My name's Ted Harkey. I live in rural Fithian. Invenergy's Wisconsin-based sound technician, Hankard Environmental, arrived and set up equipment in various places here and over there in Pilot Township. His equipment is placed near my north property line, which is east of Mr. Miles' house. And the equipment is set up on neighboring farmland. Hankard's equipment, it sits unsupervised. To properly meet the IPCB standards, Illinois Pollution Control Board standards, the sound data collection must be observed. Activity, that means a person sitting there keeping notes. Activities such as nearby traffic, turbine blade, RPM, sound sources such as crickets, birds, lawnmowers, dogs, whatever, tractors, are supposed to be noted and logged during the data collection time period. Since this equipment is collecting unobserved data, it may just be a data set of mystery soup. One of Hankard's units is placed within 50 feet of the township road paved surface. I believe this is on 2250 North Road. It's on a participating landowner's property. If this is an attempt to record a baseline reading for ambient sound, then it does not follow the commonly accepted standards that ambient sound is supposed to be measured at the receptor. The receptor is the location where people spend their time, up near their house, up near their shed, a place where they would work or read their newspaper. Ambient sound measurements should be taken in a manner that is reflective of what residents experience in their homes or on their property. Not out by the road. Nobody reads their newspaper out by the mailbox. Invenergy has repeatedly made unsubstantiated claims that it's possible to soundproof a home. You cannot soundproof a home against noise from wind turbines. In my search for truth and reality, I've yet to find where this has ever been done successfully. Invenergy has failed to show me any example. I think this was a delay tactic used to temporarily avoid addressing my situation. Invenergy has not responded to any noise complaints since the middle of May, with any action or attempt to reduce the noise at the time it's causing disturbance for me and my family. Invenergy has yet provided us with any proposal or any action for any temporary relief from wind turbine noise, which still causes us harm. Invenergy is being sued by homeowners who live near their facilities throughout the United States. The most recent lawsuit is in Oregon, and it lists the exact same complaints, which me and my neighbors are also having. This suit for one individual in Oregon, the dollar amount of the suit is over $5 million. Numerous counties in numerous states are all changing, numerous counties in numerous states are changing their ordinances to correct the pitfalls of their own ordinance after learning hard lessons after the construction of the first wind farm. As time passes by, I am approached by more neighbors who have had problems with noise or flicker from the turbines. I would still be pleased to work at your service to answer any questions or have any home visits to my home. It's difficult to catch these noise events. It needs a quick response. And there's been very little interest from this group to come experience it for yourself. It's so hard to describe, and I don't blame you for not being able to understand it. And it's there and it's real, and I'm still living with it every day. Thank you for your time tonight.
Good evening. I thank you in advance for listening to my story tonight. I have provided you my story and photos because I know that not all of you may not read it, so I'm going to go ahead and give you a little bit. My name is Gina Isabelli. I live at 6070 East, 2150 North Road. I am part of the California Ridge Wind Farm. I bought my 6.5-acre farm back in 2005. I've been a high school biology, zoology teacher for Champaign Central High School for 14 years. I have attached the story regarding the hell that we now live in daily since these turbines, especially the one located just south of our farm, number 126, went into operation. I've included some photos. I've also uploaded videos to YouTube taken by my iPhone inside our house. I am just as much a resident as the ones that own and profit from these in our county and Pilot Township. I pay taxes, and I have value my home and farm just as they do. Please start respecting us as such, and this is part of my story. We have been struggling with our turbine number 126, located less than 1,000 feet south of our small farm north of Muncie, Illinois. On paper, it shows it's just over 1,000 feet. They never took into consideration the angle of elevation. We're on a hill. They also take the measurement from the foundation of your home. I guess they think we don't play outside, swim in the pool, ride our horses, work in our shops, all close to the turbine than the foundation of our home. I shouldn't say our, because it is not ours, nor will we ever contact regarding its placement in the decision days by the company or the landowner. It is owned by our neighbor that owns that farmland. No one asked me if it was okay to give up an awesome south view for miles from my home. Instead, look at this. No one asked me if I asked if I minded how close it was and whether or not it would affect my horses, my other animals, and of course us. We live there. In fact, in the beginning, we were lied to. We were told these turbines weren't being installed anywhere near my farm. When they were getting installed, I constantly called Invenergy with my concerns to William Davidson. Eventually, he ignored us, and I contacted Greg Lukeman. Every time Greg told me not to worry, the turbine was plenty far from my farm, and I wouldn't hear a thing. I would maybe hear a light whoosh. The sound would be barely detectable. I wouldn't even notice. I asked him, what about the shadows? He said, nope, I'm too far away. I asked how it would affect my horses and my other pets. He said all the studies show animals don't even notice. I asked him what if we ended up with sensitivities to the low frequency noise. He said no one has ever had problems. I asked him what about the studies done on this. He said they were false. And the list of concerns went on. I asked him what would happen if those things did happen. Would they be willing to put up trees? Maybe a large barn on the south side of me so it would be a sound barrier, a shadow barrier? What if my property value dropped and we couldn't live there because of these negative experiences? Would they buy out my farm, the one first thing that I was able to get, so that we can move, since we were never part of this decision? He always said I would not have a problem. There was no need to concern myself. He stated that the county would address everything in a board meeting, and everyone was on board and okay. I asked him what board meeting. I never got anything in the mail. I was never called. But why would my neighbors? They were getting money from the project. They don't want me there. I want to say no. They weren't going to tell me. I've been calling them since last summer. Invent Energy never got calls back. So these turbines went online, and our lives went from a nice, peaceful farm life to constant noise and irritation. I moved out there in 2005, small horse farm. Goal was peace. I'm a teacher. I want peace when I come home. I like backcountry peace, sitting out on my porch or sitting in a chair, listening to peaceful calm, my horses blowing, breathing in a pasture. You'd know that sound if you had them. The crickets, the birds, the frogs. Now I can't hear that relaxing sound of my horses most days. Listening to peaceful country sound at night? Nope. I used to be able to open our windows at night to sleep, not anymore. Now we have to keep them shut, and every window has fans to block the noise, including our 8-year-old daughter that is with us part-time. Didn't used to close all the house blinds at night. Now we have to, otherwise we get to look at red lights blinking at night in our windows. Wow, didn't know I lived near an airport landing. Didn't know I was part of a discotheque. In the winter, despite the room darkening blinds and heavy window curtains, if it is a sunny morning, you still wake up to shadow flickers. I experienced that one morning thinking I was having an epileptic seizure or a stroke because I didn't know what was going on. My eyes were picking up this dark light picture. Opened my eyes and I was just disoriented to know what was going on. Every morning for about an hour or so, we experience this in the winter. It literally drives you crazy and it plays with your eyes. They also affect my animals. Forget riding or working with my horses during those times, and my cats went crazy. And I don't know you think it's funny for them to catch that stuff, but it makes them insane. I have numerous recordings of the sounds we hear almost daily on my iPhone. They are not barely audible like I was lied to. We were taking them inside the building, including our daughter's bedroom. They're online. I also brought my computer if you'd like to hear them. They were protected by wind, so you can't say it's wind. You can hear the hum from the generator moving and changing directions. You can hear the blades popping and knocking like they're falling apart. And of course, the constant whooshing that is not, quote, fairly audible as we told it would be. When they face north and especially south, it is so loud it becomes unbearable. We have radios on everywhere. When we have people over, we can't just sit on the porch and have a nice relaxing talk. We had a friend come by and say, wow, that is crazy. I can hear the interstate traffic this far away. 10 miles away. No, that's not the interstate. That's the wind turbine. On the days that they are running, we feel it in our bodies, tense and on edge. If you catch yourself, you'll see you're clenching your teeth. We have headaches all the time. On days there's no wind, our bodies and ears are aware they're not running even before we look at them. You could blindfold us and put headphones over our ears, and we could tell you when they're on and when they're off. You can just tell. On the days they aren't running, we feel so blessed to have a quiet, normal day again. It's like Christmas or winning the lottery. But that doesn't last long. On those days, we get to listen to the constant whine of the generator moving around the turbine to find wind over and over and over again, sometimes 1 to 2 minutes, sometimes every 5 to 10, all day, all night. It's like enough already. There is no wind. Can you just give us peace for a day? And I will end with this. People's lives will never be worth nor equal to the money and profit people make from these turbines from hell. I ask for your consideration, and just remember, we're residents too. Thank you.
Everyone, my name is Jessica Harkey. I live with my family in Hope in the California Ridge Wind Project.
I thought that tonight I would just share with you some of the facts about our situation that you may not have heard before. More than 50, you've probably heard that statistic from my husband before. That's the number of times that Invenergy voluntarily shut down turbines for us in an effort to try to manage the noise problems we're experiencing at our house this spring. 4, the total number of turbines they were turning off for us at any given time. Normally we talk about the 2 turbines that are closest to our house that we believe contribute the most to the problem. But with our communications with Invenergy, we have the documentation to show, in fact, at times they were shutting off as many as 4 turbines at night or during the day for us. 11, the number of times between January and late April that my family openly offered and even begged Invenergy to set up sound measuring equipment on our property. We even offered up our bedroom as a data collection site so they could accurately record what we were experiencing in our home. So I'd like to share just a few of these communications with you. These are actual quotes from text messages or emails that we exchanged with Invenergy representatives. And these are paraphrased for the sake of time. So in early April, Partkey's note to Invenergy representative: could you send some sound techs out to our house to measure the noise? That would be great. Also in early February, turbine noise is getting a bit louder again tonight. The noise keeps slowly increasing. You should set up some sensors or microphones at our house. In acknowledgement for our request for a sound study, towards mid-February, an Invenergy representative wrote to us: there was a call last week regarding getting you a noise consultant, but I was not included in the call and I don't know the outcome. No further information on that call was ever provided to us. Meanwhile, our offers to set up noise measurement equipment at our home continued. Late February, Partkey's note: Invenergy, come over to our house right now tonight. You can hear the noise. It's fairly constant and consistent and has been all night. Early March, another note: we would be willing to set up a computer system or recording studio for your sound testers in our home, if you would be willing to do that. To further facilitate the sound study process, we offered to collect noise measurements ourselves if Invenergy would just provide us with the equipment. In mid-March, we write Invenergy to the Invenergy representative: you need to set up a sound recording studio here in our home so we can record events like this one for you that's going on right now. At this point, the Invenergy representative even asked us to try to record the noise ourselves on our phone and just email them the recording. Invenergy note to the Hartkeys: can you record this noise with your phone and send it to me? And now a little sidebar to our story. As you may or may not be aware, operation of the turbines at night in the project is controlled by a control center up in Chicago. So a request for turbines to be shut down had to be relayed to Chicago before action could be taken and turbines can be shut off. What became apparent to us during this process is that Invenergy periodically experiences connectivity issues in their system, meaning that the folks in Chicago are not always able to actually control the turbines down here. How safe do you feel, or do you think other residents would feel, knowing that there are times when the company is not able to fully control or shut off these turbines if there's a problem? What are the implications for our residents and local emergency responders in this type of an emergency situation? Another actual communication. An Invenergy representative responding to us from an earlier request that evening to shut down 2 of the turbines. They respond: it's going to be a while before we can get these shut down. The control center in Chicago is having connectivity issues with the site. They're going to have to reboot the servers. Now, I can't tell you exactly how long it took that night to turn the turbines off because I don't have an actual text message or email with a date stamp. But I know that from the series of emails we do have recorded, it took them more than half an hour to shut down the turbines that night. So for at least half an hour on that evening, they were unable to control the operations of the turbines in our area. I don't know if this applied to the whole farm or only our area. The next day, they sent a separate note. acknowledging that they had an issue with the network control last night, but that has been resolved, and we were finally able to shut down the turbines closest to you. I hope you had a better night than you did last night.
Mrs. Harkey, would you please bring your comments to a close?
I have lots of other things I could share with you, but I just want to say that the effects that my family and other families within the wind farm are experiencing are real, and they're not going to go away. They're only getting worse as we continue to be exposed to what has essentially become an environment of unregulated, noisy turbine operation. Vermilion County residents elected each of you as their spokesperson and champion for their rights, their safety, and their well-being. I strongly urge you to consider the facts I shared with you tonight and ask that you come together as a group and you try to find solutions to these issues. I thank you for your time.
Go ahead.
No, you go right ahead.
My name's Jeremy Lomax. I'm Mr. Lomax that Miles addressed about not having any concerns. I will give anybody here the gas money. I'll right now, go look around Pilot Township and tell me how many signs are there. There are signs going up all over. I was the one that asked about tax assessment. I couldn't get an appraisal because they said they couldn't find a home in a wind farm in our area. And, sorry. I'm still having that issue. My taxes are an issue. I realize that taxes are a year behind. I understand that. But I still have not had anyone even remotely tell me what's going to happen. I contacted the assessor's office, and the email I got back, I should have printed off. You got the same answer I just did. That's what it was worth. He didn't even give, he told me to file a formal complaint, and I said, okay. He said, but we don't have any proof of property loss, value loss in that area. I said, okay. I said, I had a person come to my home, wanted to hear the turbines, and said, man, I'd move if it was me. Yeah. Can't even get, I just don't know what else to do, and I'm asking the board what I should do. I have no idea. I mean, you have two board members that already left. They really care about the community. That's terrible. I just want to know what I need to do. Anyone? I mean, I can't sell my house for a loss. I bought it, when I bought my home, I did not know there was a turbine going right behind it. I didn't know. I found out about 60 days after closing when I saw the excavator pulling back there. I didn't even know. I mean, and now I don't know what to do because does anybody here honestly tell me it wouldn't bother me, what bothered them moving in my home near a turbine, or it's not going to affect my property value? I can take you from one home to another home in Pilot Township that I own both of, and you're going to see a night and day difference. You can go sit on the porch at my other house, hear the birds chirp, everything. An elderly person that has the, I don't know what they're called, the hearing aids that go in their head, that have the wire, it fouls their hearing aids on my back porch. They cannot sit out at a barbecue. They have to go in the air conditioning with the windows closed. And I'm just asking what I need to do. Can anybody answer me or even help me? Thanks for your time.
Good evening. My name is Kirk Allen. I'm from Camden, Illinois. Originally wasn't going to say anything tonight. I felt it necessary hearing some of the testimony that was here before you folks. One quick question I have, can anybody tell me where this meeting was posted on the building?
This meeting tonight tonight. It's posted outside the county board office on the 3rd floor.
It's not posted on the outside of the building
This
anywhere?
is a public building, anyone has access to it.
So it's on the 3rd floor?
The county board office is on the 3rd floor.
Okay, thank you. One of the things I want to reference, and maybe it'll help some of those folks that shared some things a few minutes ago. A lot of times citizens, when I go to county board meetings all over the state, and I've been through a lot of them, and I've seen a lot of different things. One of the things that I typically see, and people use the Open Meetings Act as the excuse, and I'm a township supervisor as well, so I'm very familiar with what we're supposed to be doing. That people say, the citizens have a right to speak, but I'm not required to answer. And that may be true for your OMA rulings. However, in the county codes, at each regular and special meeting, which is open to the public, members of the public and employees of the county shall be afforded time, subject to reasonable constraints, to comment to or ask questions of the board. The purpose, the legislative intent of that statute was so the citizens can get answers to their questions. And I think there's a lot of questions that I think some of these folks could present. And I think you have a duty as elected officials to get answers to those questions. We need to put our citizens ahead of our pocketbooks. Thank you.
Kim Cameron, rural Rankin. Good evening. I would like to speak to the board this evening about the industrial wind turbine complex now known as Apex Wind Energy. I am requesting that the executive committee, the structural safety committee, and the full board deny any change in height, rotor diameter, or any other significant change in the current application that they have on file. I am also requesting that the board revisit the county's wind ordinance to address the setback issue. If there are bigger machines and bigger rotor blades, there needs to be bigger setbacks. I will again say for the record that I do not consent to the setback language in this ordinance, for it is the taking or the use of my land without my consent. All setbacks should be from property lines, not primary dwellings. I'm requesting that the county board committees, appointed boards or committees, and attorneys work with all that have been going on or who are negatively affected by this industry. I'm requesting that all of the above mentioned should be bending over backwards for us, as they have done for this industry. We live here. We call Vermilion County home. I'm requesting that all of the above mentioned stand up for the victims in our county because this industry is in our midst. The victims are telling the truth. I do not believe the county board was told the truth by this industry about their industry. It's the same over and over and over, from county to county, to state, to country to country. The same inherent issues. Noise issues, low infrasound issues, shadow flicker issues, wildlife issues, property value issues, and most importantly, quality of life issues. And the list goes on. Please stand on the side of the county victims that you have heard here tonight. Thank you.
Good evening. I would like to take this opportunity to bring to the attention of the board some proposed changes that our neighboring county, Iroquois County, is proposing for their wind ordinance. They are proposing setback changes to include 1,500 feet from the non-participating property line. They are proposing distances from a primary structure increased to 12 times the rotor diameter. For a GE 1.7 megawatt turbine, the distance would be 3,936 feet. For a 2.4 megawatt Nordex turbine, the distance would be 4,608 feet. And for a 2.7 megawatt Alstom turbine, the distance would be 4,800 feet. There will also be new limits for the noise allowed to be emitted by wind turbines in the day and the night. These suggested changes came about due to complaints from residents that have wind turbines too close to their homes. I would like to quote a change to the Iroquois County ordinance. Quote, "This ordinance is adopted for the following purposes: to assure the protection of the health, safety, welfare, and property values for all Iroquois County residents and landowners." Let me repeat that last part: for all Iroquois County residents and landowners. We should be asking ourselves, why did our biased wind panel find nothing wrong with the setbacks, yet every county in the country is working to increase setbacks and beef up regulations of their wind ordinances? Who is right and who is wrong here? What does common sense tell you? What does the science tell you? So where does that ordinance leave? Where does our current ordinance leave us? Let me bring your attention to a lawsuit filed recently in Eastern Oregon. A rural resident is filing a $5 million lawsuit for loss of enjoyment of his home and land, disturbance of sleep, headaches, fatigue, and annoyance for wind turbines located too close to his home. In addition, the suit alleges loss of property value not to exceed $150,000, payment for an acoustical engineer in the amount of $10,000, and $11,000 in legal fees. This is the option that our county has left to our residents. And by the way, the company named in the lawsuit is Invenergy, the same company that is operating and approved by this county board in Vermilion County. Ladies and gentlemen, we already have amended our ordinance once. It's not that hard. It is the vehicle recognized by the industry for regulating wind turbines in Vermilion County, and as such, should be subject to change going forward. To quote Dr. Martin Luther King, it is always the right time to do the right thing. I look forward to your response.
You didn't give your name.
My name is Daryl Cameron, and I'm a rural Rankin resident in Vermilion County.